Hi, I'm Cameron. This is Stina, that's Suki, and that's Bramble. We've been renting flats most of our lives, and now in our early 40s we finally managed to buy our forever home. It's not much, only a fifth of an acre, and it's seen far better days, but it's our little piece of rural southwest Scotland. We're excited to start its transformation into a cosy cottage and food forest garden that we know it can become. So welcome to Bramble Cottage. With the weather turning decidedly autumnal, it's time for us to start getting the cottage winter ready. So we've been cleaning chimneys, making sure our wood burning stoves are in good order, and building our wood pile. However, a surprise visit meant we had to change our plans.
Anyone who knows cats knows it's plain suspicious if they're not trying to wake you up at crack of dawn. So that's what got me up super early one morning. I headed to the living room and found the two kittens lurking in front of the stove, and when I looked in, I saw a jackdaw. No one would ever accuse me of being a morning person, so I duly woke Cameron, who did the honours of getting dressed and putting on the gloves to try and rescue the poor bird. How did this come about? Well, we'd had a chimney sweep visit just a few days or a week earlier, and they established that both the chimneys had birds' nests in them and agreed to remove one nest, leaving the other for us to do. The idea was that they would clear this one out for us ahead of us fitting a cowl, which we evidently didn't do fast enough. We don't know how long the jackdaw spent in the stove that night, but hopefully it wasn't too traumatised by the experience. Cameron and I did a load of research and concluded that the Colt cowl you see here would be the most suitable for both of our chimneys. These tabs at the bottom fold down over the chimney pot, and then this giant Jubilee clip that comes with it can just be tightened up around the pot. So the challenge was to see how easy that would be to do from the top of the roof. Well, what we learned about that is that I'm a coward and Cameron definitely still has vertigo. We put the ladder in the most obvious location against the house, and this is me crouching at the top of the roof wondering how to get from there to the chimney pot to fix the cowl. This is only a little bungalow, but gosh does it seem high up when you get to the top and look over to the other side. Suffice to say, I never figured it out and we aborted this attempt. Attempt number 2 worked much better. We put some corrugated iron on top of the weak plastic porch roof, and then I clambered up to the chimney pot directly from there, which felt easy by comparison. This is me tightening the giant Jubilee clip. By the time we got to the second chimney, we had it down to a fine art. Tie the cowl to a rope and sling it over your shoulder. Tie your screwdriver to your wrist. Wear plimsolls and not steel-toe cap boots. And finally, I forgot my cap on this occasion, but that would have been handy because it's very bright trying to look into the sun when you get to the top. The old cowl, which you'll see later hasn't done a huge amount to keep the birds out and probably isn't all that great against the rain either, was held on with a bit of wire twisted around the base. And then there were some hooks on the inside of the chimney pot which were a little bit fiddly to try and pull out. The view from the top at this time of the evening was absolutely stunning. We're on the edge of our little village and most of those buildings belong to the farm next door. This time I was clever enough to half fit the Jubilee clip round the cowl before I went up, so I just needed to slide it down over the hooks at the bottom rather than having to lift it over the top first. We know that parts of this roof are a little bit unstable and we're not exactly sure where the joists are, so there was some careful shimmying to be done to get from one side to the other. The ever-present soundscape of roof slates crackling underneath me every time I moved wasn't my favourite thing either.
So getting the first bird's nest removed was kind of expensive, so we decided to have a go at getting the second bird's nest removed ourselves, because it seemed like a reasonably simple job. So we set about getting ourselves organised to do this on the second chimney in the den. First of all, we tried to make sure that we would keep the area tidy and clean, and laid out a lovely green blanket which the kittens absolutely loved, and that delayed work's progress for a little bit. We decided to use a mirror to investigate the extent of the bird's nest, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of twigs very close to the bottom of the chimney, and at this stage we thought it might actually be possible just to reach our arms up and pull down what was there. So, at this stage, it looks like there is no liner in the chimney, and it's a really old brick chimney going all the way up. So we're going to have to undo the plate and drop that down and remove the whole thing, potentially. So yeah, we're going to see.
Given the number of large twigs we were seeing and the fact that the chimney isn't lined, so we're expecting this stuff to be filling the entire flue, we decided it was time to pull out the stove and the plate all together so that we could get better access to let everything out.
Now that we've got this little stove free and available, we might as well have a quick look at it. This is definitely going to be a future mini restoration project. It doesn't need a huge amount of work, but it'd be really nice if it went back in there just looking good, in good order, absolutely no problems at all.
It was actually really quite impressive to us, the length of some of the twigs that these jackdaws had managed to drag down past the cowl and into the chimney. I recently bought some drain rods for some other problems that we have here at the cottage, and we figured these might make a perfect substitute for actual chimney brushes.
Just a quick look at what we've got there. There's quite a lot already, but with a little look a little bit further up the chimney, you can just about see there's quite a lot more to still come down. And we're not that far up, we're maybe just a metre or two up off the ground there. And this is our first bag getting filled, ready to go to the compost. Once the bag was filled, we moved on to boxes. Just seemed a little bit easier. We decided to get the hoover just going and hoovering particles out of the air, because at this stage there started to be quite a lot of dust coming down. This was just after we had a good old glut come down. It seemed to start to come down in great big like waves at a time. Very, very dusty. Very messy. As you can see, the doors are now closed. I think I've said it before, the house seemed to not be terribly loved for quite a long time, and I'd be surprised if this chimney had been cleared in the last 10 years. It is just jam full of dust. At this stage it felt like there wasn't any further to push the rods. We had about 6 rods up the chimney, and I went outside to see if it was out there, and I could actually see it moving around. So we obviously thought we'd pretty much done the job. Well done us. But then it seemed like it was worth carrying on for a bit longer because there was more coming out. And this is where Stina got a good one. That was a lot. Oh my lord. So we literally waited for the dust to settle and came back into the room. We just left the hoover running just to suck what it could out of the air. As you can see, the floor is decidedly grey now. So we're on to our 3rd box, I think, at this stage. And hopefully this is almost it. And we're happy that we're now done with this. We've got all the way to the top and we've cleared everything out that we can. So it's time to have a little tidy up. In an effort to get at least one fire working, I decided to have a crack at doing a bit of restoration on the stove in our living room. And this is Bramble, the stove inspector. He is here to make sure that I do a good job and keep him warm throughout the winter. And he's very interested in what's going on right now. So the stove in our main living room was leaky, dirty, it had loose glass and it had loads of rust all over it, and it just generally needed some TLC to put it back in order. Having spent some time sanding down the exterior, cleaning the glass, readjusting various bits and bobs and hinges, I then spent some time polishing up the rest of the stove to bring it back up to that lovely black colour. If you'd like to see the full restoration of this stove, drop us a comment down below and I will put together a video all about it. We were lucky enough to go to an old farm that was having a clearance sale, and one of the barns there was full of very well seasoned wood, like absolutely full, beyond a lifetime supply. So we were lucky enough to purchase a little bit of the wood that they had, very, very small quantity. We barely got half a carload. But I have to say the price was absolutely excellent, and that just gives us enough to hopefully get us into the winter season this year. We're going to be using it reasonably sparingly, but we now need somewhere to store the wood that's going to be dry. So I set about building a very, very simple wood store. Putting some uprights in so that we can separate types of wood out, sort of sizes of wood. If we've got some particularly large pieces of wood, we want to keep it separate from the smaller piece of wood and from the kindling, so it's easy to access. I decided to put a little shelf on the roof for absolutely no reason beyond it seemed right, and it might give it a tiny little bit more stability, and it'll give me somewhere to put things in the future as well, just odds and ends, sit on a shelf on that side in our little carport. That's the structure completely built, as good as done. All that we need to do now is fill it with the wood that we have. While at the farm clearance, we managed to pick up this beautiful wrought iron handmade log store at an absolute bargain price, so very pleased with that. Just needs a quick tidy up and clean and it'll be good to go into the house. the hard and quite dirty work done, it's time for us to enjoy the fruits of our labour and cosy up the space a little.